You may be wondering, Helloween, it has been so long since you've last reviewed an LP of yours. You're quite correct, it has been quite some time since I reviewed an LP, so I thought I would go and review an LP, for repetition. So, I'm going to review the LP of The Suffering. I'm doing this entirely on memory, because that's how I roll. I could have gone back and watched it all, but then I would have been filled with the same rage that I had when completing the game. So, first things first, how I sort of came across this, really, I suppose. I was just finished another LP, and whatever it was, it wasn't Fear, probably, I think it was, and I was looking for something to do, and I was in the local game store, and I waltzed around, and I had a look, and I saw a small little game with a very strange electric chair man on the front, and I was like, ooh, that looks quite bizarre. Quite strange and freaky, that might be exactly what I'm looking for. The same store I bought pretty much all my horror games from, including Call of Cthulhu and Alice and a few other bits. Anyway, so I said to the man, have you heard much about this? And he said, it was on the PS2 as well. I played it, it was quite fun, quite scary, lots of creepy stuff going on. And he said, look at the monster designs here, they're really cool. So I thought, yeah, that looks quite good. Why not? We'll have a little pop of that. So, I've got myself a new horror game, fantastic. I've got myself a new LP to do, great. So I take it home, try and install it. It fights me all of the way, so I eventually manually install it, which is by copying all the files and dumping stuff in registries and whatnot, which is all good and well and fun, just to be an asshole, thank you game. And then I try and run it, and it crashes every time, and I have to do some weird stuff, and I eventually have to crack the game, so I have to no-CD it, just to get it to work, which is usually the other way around, but whatever. Anyway, so, bear in mind the game has already fought me around pretty much 95% of the way so far. I thought, well, this is going to be good. And I started to do the trying out section, and the sound was all screwed. Good, thank you, Suffering, that was very helpful, never mind. Eventually get the sound working, and we're all good to go, we're all good to record. I get myself ready, I set my sound system up, which was terrible back in the day, but whatever. And we're all good to go. Excellent. So, with that out of the way, the introductions are done, I'll take you to the horrible world of The Suffering. So, first of all, let's go over the basic stuff. Graphically, how does it look? This is, I think, is the really strong point of the game. Graphically, The Suffering is really good. Not necessarily in texture volume or whatever. As always, I'm not going to be basing it on that. It got released years ago. There's no point reviewing on how graphically amazing it looks now. Because it doesn't look good now. But it keeps its aesthetics. And that's what is important in games. It is dark, it is creepy, it has a really good atmosphere going with it. All the monster designs are done by Stan Winston Studios, who did lots of weird monsters of different movies. I think he did like stuff like Pinhead from Hellraiser and a few other bits. Anyway, so the actual monsters look great. I mean, they're really creepy. They all are symbolic. They all represent certain things. One represents the electric chair, for example. The other represents gassing, being set on fire. You know, all sorts of things. And that's a really cool thing to do. The monsters all look great because of it. The character model of Torque looks pretty generic, to be quite honest. He's a gruff-looking dude in a vest that looks like he could have just come out of a bar and drank lots of Stella and then punched his wife. Which is ironic considering how the game really goes, but whatever. So, we got that, that's great. Torque looks passable at best. I mean, he's not the best-looking player character I've ever seen. Not the worst. He's pretty generic, but he'll do. Other characters in the game are very throwaway, barring the enemies. I mean, we've got the racist guy in the prison, the Nazi guy, the black dude who gets murdered straight away. You know, the pretty staples of horror stuff, you know, not particularly surprising. Anyone who's alive is alive for all of 20 seconds, so to be quite frank, they don't really matter, do they? So, bearing that, to be honest, the graphics are good for what they're doing. You know, nothing wrong with them at all. Like I said, barring the fact that talk is and boring, monsters are absolutely fantastic, so that makes up for it. The environments are drab, I have to be honest. The prison is a good idea, but it's rather dull to look at. That's the only downside. There's not a lot to it. You're in a corridor, you're in a celled corridor, you're outside in the prison grounds, which are dark, you go to a mental hospital, which is dark, you know, it's just like, bleh. Drab, boring, dull. Again, I think the game is carried on its fantastic monster design, but a little bit more effort onto the environments wouldn't have gone amiss. Speaking of monster design and characters, I did say the NPCs are throwaway. My apologies. The Gas Man and the other guy who pops up a lot, whose name escapes me now, who was very annoying. I had to fast forward that bit because it made me mad. Anyway, he's fantastic. He has a lot of character to him. He's quite cool. You find out about them. They're quite neat. I mean, the actual boss monsters are really cool. You know, they have a story to them. You understand what their motivations are to an extent. And you know, that's just good. So I'd say graphically it gets a pass because, like I said, monster design really carries it. And back in the day, it probably looked quite nice. Aesthetically, it's decent. Environments are crap. So, not bad at all. Moving to sound design, I suppose, and sound in general. I'm not a massive fan of what they did with the sounds. The sounds of the monsters are fine. The scraping, the ching 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 of the monsters moving around is really cool, really nice. The monster cries and effects are annoying. They get really irritating after time because they're so frequent. Like, the monsters are always making noises. Why? Please stop making all the noise all the time. Please, drive me insane. So that's irritating.
Have fun with the fire.
Listen, the sound effects are okay. Like I said, the ching ching ching, cool. The voice acting is okay. It's not amazing. I wouldn't write home about it. It sounded a hell of a lot funnier when sped up. That way. The most irritating thing about it is the sound jump cues. They're called scare chords, I believe, mostly. It's basically where, if your meter was full for the monster meter, you're supposed to use it or not use it. What in the choice I made, and all that happened every 30 seconds. You went ding, and you're like, oh.
Don't know.
Oh, that was mildly surprising because the sound suddenly got really loud with a flashing image on screen. And that happened all the time. Seriously, game. That was terrible. Right. Terrible decision. It was really annoying. I mean, there's no good reason to keep doing that, other than the fact to annoy the shit out of the player. Oh, the player's not doing what we wanted to do, which is transform into the really cool Torque monster. But I didn't want to transform into the Torque monster. I want to get the good ending without the monster, you know? I wanted to try it. Why not? I didn't use it very much. That would have been cool. But no, they didn't really go that way, so no mind. There wasn't really a huge amount of decent music to speak of. Very forgettable, very generic, kind of just background noise. Yeah, that was all. Like I said, with the voice acting, it liked repeating itself, so there was one man who kept telling me how amazing Mary Shelley was. This is like Mary Shelley Franks. No, please. And I accidentally shot him in the face, and to this day I don't know if I accidentally shot him or I shot him on purpose, because it was so annoying. But there you go. Yeah, sound, I'd say, no, negative. It wasn't particularly great. So, yeah, not getting a pass from me on the sound there. Story-wise, it's okay. I mean, it's a unique kind of story. There is a, the mystery behind Torque's family is enough to keep you going through the game. You know, it's always what's actually happening. Why is he in prison? What's going on? The story between some of the secondary characters, kind of neat, kind of interesting. Like some of the audio logs, they feel the bits of the crazy man and the crazy silent place, kind of cool. So, yeah, there's not a lot to it, but it does the job. It's okay, It's okay. That's all you can say about it, really. I'm not going to I couldn't write home about it. I couldn't write an amazing dissertation on how this story changed the world. But then it doesn't need to. It does the job. It gets you from point A to point B, keeps you interested. Okay, yeah, the story's fine. What else can I really say about the Suffering? I'm going to go on to some technical details, quite frankly, because the technical side of the Suffering was awful. Controlling-wise, Torque handled fine. It was with shooting and number pads. I mean, it's fairly standard third-person shooter controls. Can't say I'm amazed by it. Can't complain. Does the job, Nothing wrong with it. So that's fine. The fact that the game loves to crash every single time I recorded it was not fine. Not at all. Not only content with trying to screw me over, just trying to get the damn thing going. Every time I recorded, you would not believe how many times it just crashed on me. It was just silly. It just was stupid. I would record. I'd get 10 minutes in, and I'd go BAM, and for no good reason, Suffering.exe has stopped working. And then you have loads of unskippable videos to get back into it. So by the time I came to record, I was probably frothing at the mouth, and there was probably some bloodshot eyes going on. I was nibbling at the keyboard with madness.
Everyone finished?
Kind of. Good. Not much has changed, really, but
wipe the blood off me.
Still,
if I could.
No. No, game. We do not crash all the time and expect us to do well. It's not helpful. On the other technical side, the one thing, so it's more gameplay affecting, really. I did not like how Torque would die, or, paper-legged Torque, as I used to call him. How he would die after a drop of 3 feet. Very irritating, because it'd actually jump up somewhere, and you just, instead of using the ladder to get down, or the boxes to get down, you go splat, and you would die. And it's like, well, that's kind of silly. I mean, there's very rarely any places are actually high enough that would be game breaking if you didn't take full damage. Lots of games make this mistake. Have some full damage. Unless you're an open sandbox game and you've designed a massive area where jumping down without any full damage would be game breaking, which this game doesn't have. Having full damage is just silly. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why do it? So there. So yes, from boxing and jumping woes onwards to the actual gameplay. As a third-person shooter, it's okay. I mean, the setting carries it. The setting and the monsters. because of the sort of horror theme setting, you got interesting weapons. You got like explosive cocktails, shotguns, like big machine guns, things like that, axes. I mean that's cool. You know, it's okay. The ability to transform into a monster I didn't use very much, but again quite neat and appreciated. But overall, it wasn't the best third-person shooter I played. It did the job, you know. That's all I can say about it as a gameplay function. It did the job. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, you know. That's the thing. Again, it didn't shout anything outstanding at you. I mean, you basically go where you go. This is how the gameplay goes. You open a door. You're now in the area. You've gone into one area. It will summon 3 or 4 monsters. You kill these monsters. You move to the next boxed area, essentially boxed in. More monsters appear. You kill these. Same deal. Rinse and repeat. And then you have a bit of talking time or NPC time or listening to phone calls, whatever. Then move on to the next. Very similar to Fear, I suppose, in that sense, where you've got sort of disparities between your combat section and your your talkie section. Yeah, so again, nothing wrong with it, but I'm not overly impressed either. I mean, I wasn't bored playing it, which is the most important thing. God, I hate being bored while doing some LPs, which some games do certainly make me bored, and I just have to struggle up the effort to even do the LP. But there's no effort needed really, except for the fact it kept crashing on me. But other than that, fine. I mean, again, I couldn't really recommend it to everyone to play. Really, I wouldn't say, gosh, you gotta play this game, it's really fun. But if someone was given the game, I wouldn't say throw it away. I'd say play it. It's okay, you know, it's okay. It's a good, okay-ish game. It'll do. So yeah, there's that. I mean, that for the gameplay probably covers it. That's the thing. It's not a lot to say about it. You shoot things, you chop things. The monsters pop out, which are really cool looking, but then they pop up so often you're like, whatever. Push a few switches, jump over a few holes, climb down a few pipes, kill a very annoying boss, blah 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 blah. Very generic, very samey, except for the setting, which is, like I said, what carries it to make it slightly interesting. If it wasn't for this setting, probably not worth playing, you know? If it was anything else that wasn't like horror based, I'd say there's nothing even worth seeing here, don't bother. But it's got that to carry it, which is fine. I think that's it really, for all that's got to say about the suffering of the game itself. Would I recommend it? Difficult. It's okay, you know. I'd say you could certainly pick it up and play it, and you'd probably enjoy it. You know, you enjoy it to the fact that you say, "Well, I've played that game. It has been played. I have no urge to go back to it. It's not a game I want to go back and redo everything. It's just I've seen it. You know, maybe the sequel really improved things. And that's something I would like to see at one point. Maybe I probably will LP the sequel at some point just to see what it's like. Cause that's what I can say about it. It is a okay to good game. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But then there's nothing great about it either. I mean, if I'm going to start, if I was doing points, would I shave points off the fact it crashed a lot? Probably not, because essentially it might be my system. It might have been my system at the time, which could have been lousy. Who knows? So I can't really dock it points for being a technical nightmare, because the actual gameplay was smooth. There was no frame rate drops. There's no graphical glitches. I didn't fall through the floor. I mean, it was a very well, tightly, competently coded game, except for the fact it was crap when it crashed a lot, which was annoying. But again, I don't know if that was me or that was the computer. Who knows? Or they didn't like fraps. Lots of games don't like fraps. It's very annoying. But yeah, that's that. And then, like I said, would I recommend it? Difficult. If you're looking for something that doesn't scream "I am unique and amazing," then yeah, I probably would say, you know, give it a look. At least give it a look. Give it an hour of play. See what you think. That's probably the best I can say. Do you like it after an hour? Because this is all you're going to get. You are going to get this for an hour. You know, you're going to get pretty much the same stuff after this hour all the way through. And that might be being slightly unfair. Some of you may think, I don't know, but I think that's about as fair as I can give it. You know, try it. Give it an hour. Do you like it? Yes. Do you like it? No. That's, you know. Other than that, again, I can't say it's a terrible game by any stretch, but it's certainly not one of my favourites. Nothing I would like to go back to. Once you've played it, it's done. There's nothing new to see. Really, there's nothing. I mean, there's 2 other endings, but the motivation to get them was very small because, like I said, it was kind of dull at points. You know, the setting carried it, the gameplay and everything didn't. So that's that. I'll finish off with my review of the actual LP itself. Of course, I've covered the technical nightmare it was to actually do this LP. It was very difficult to do. It took me a long time, because it is quite a long game. It does have that going for it if you like longevity. You get your bang for your buck, that's for certain. It was behind the fact it was a nightmare to record, it was okay. I found the game, like I said, not the most interesting thing in the world. I wasn't bored, but it wasn't
I'm not sure.
really
Am I
super
hitting him?
excited.
Is
I
it
don't know
working?
if that might have shown through in the commentary.
Am I
I
just
don't
making him angry?
necessarily think it went particularly well
Oh
a
my
lot
God,
of the
why are
time.
you so large?
There was some funny
Makes no
moments.
sense.
I cracked out like a Shakespearean thing with a door and pointed at a crane when no one could see it, and got some funny old quotes. But I don't think it was what I like to call a really good classic LP that I pulled off. You know,
God,
I
you're
think
putting
like
this in
the
this
game,
like,
the LP is
need,
mostly
like,
forgettable
together
in
to be
certain
as
ways.
annoying as possible.
There's certain things that I think
Please
stand
not be
out.
cheap, like,
The
currently
rage,
something awkward.
the rage
I'm not
fest
sure
against the
I'm
stupid gas man, and then having to speed it up for the very
Aha.
first time, and that was pretty
That's it.
funny. And
I
looking
think I
back on it, that did give me a bit of
Yes.
a smile when I think about it. That went well in terms
That's it.
of how funny it was. At least I think so. Can't really laugh at your own jokes, so gauging the jokes is a bit difficult. But overall, like I said, like the game, I think the LP was a bit dull and generic, I suppose. I don't think in LPing terms the game carries enough to be interesting enough to watch. Playing it's okay, like finding out the story and playing it's alright. Yourself. Watching it, I don't know. You'd have to let me. Was it worth watching? Was it interesting enough? Did the game carry itself, or did you watch it because I was talking through it? That's the thing. And being honest, I don't think it was the best LP because of it. I don't think I was on top form because I wasn't enjoying the game as much as I could have been, and I don't think the game gave me a huge amount to work with, barring a few certain bits. It was annoying at times because of the stupid jump scares all the time with the sound effects, and that really grated me. I don't think that really improved the LP. You know, if I could go back and do it, would I? No, because I really wouldn't want to do the game again. I would like to think the sequels improved everything here. That's what sequels tend to do, and I have heard good things about the sequels, so maybe instead of would I redo this, would I play the sequel? And the answer is yes, I would definitely play the sequel. I would probably even LP the sequel, certainly, to see what it's like. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the LP. Could have been worse. Certainly could have been a lot better. Very generic and very forgettable is my opinion on the LP. Why don't you let me know what you think? Thank you for listening to me warble on. I hope you enjoyed my little review of The Suffering. And I'll be counting tallies and stuff on Doom probably tomorrow, finding out what we're going to do. I'm going to clarify this now, but I'll clarify this again in the Doom video. Even if Doom wins, I'm not doing Resurrection Evil straight away, if that's the case. Resurrection Evil will come later on, because there's no need to do 2 lots of Doom straight, one after the other. It may be I do something else, then Resurrection Evil, I don't know. I'll have to have a think about that. I'm also thinking Amnesia custom stories. I've heard there's some very good ones and some very scary ones. Lots of people have mentioned them. I think I'm doing those people a disservice by not having a look, so I will have a look at those. And who knows, maybe I'll pick up The Suffering too and give it a pop. Who knows? Right then, thank you very much for listening to the review, guys. Please let me know what you think. Chuck your thoughts and feelings and comments into the internet scribbly box below. I'd like to see what you thought. So, cheers, guys, and